Christopher Lowson has been ordained for 44 years. He served first in parishes in the Southwark Diocese before moving to Portsmouth Diocese, where, as well as serving in parishes, he then became Archdeacon of Portsdown in 1991. He moved from Portsmouth to become Director of Ministry and Church House in 2006 and was consecrated Bishop of Lincoln in 2011. Inevitably, the extraordinary events that Christopher has endured over recent years have made an impact upon him and upon the diocese and indeed upon the whole church. When I met with Christopher earlier this year, he made it very clear that he was sorry for the events and did apologize for the wrong he'd done. I also made it very clear that I was sorry for the way the matter had been handled by me and the length of time it had taken to come to a conclusion, and, including that, the length of time that he had suffered suspension. I want to say that sorry again now, in public, with both Christopher and Susan here. I apologize again for that terrible period of your lives together, for which I feel a deep personal responsibility. Of course, because survivors will hear this, in no way do I retract anything on the absolutely central place of safeguarding for the Church of England, something which Christopher would agree with me on, past, present, and future. Survivors matter fundamentally. Survivors in Lincoln matter fundamentally. They suffered and must be central. But our failures historically in safeguarding and profound injustice in those failures do not excuse delay in cases like Chris. Clearly, there is much work still to do in reforming the clergy discipline measure and reviewing our processes. And I hope that it is a very tiny bit of comfort for Christopher and Susan in knowing that their grim experience will help us think more deeply about that, and I trust more kindly. The words from those in the diocese which sum up the ministry exercised by Chris are warmth, generosity, and creativity. He is always willing to think and explore outside the box and to take risks, transforming the governance of the diocese where he inherited a very, very difficult situation and leaving on a sound organizational setting. He was well aware of the complexities of the communities that make up that very remarkable historic diocese. Its rural nature, its urban, coastal estates, market towns. It is impossible to stereotype it in any way at all. He had a real and genuine passion and desire for the gospel and to see lives and communities transformed by the person of Jesus. One example of that was the setting up of the Bishop of Lincoln's Social Justice Fund, which has seen £1 million released to social justice projects across the whole of Greater Lincolnshire. One colleague told me of listening to you, Chris, as you talked about the cross to a group of clergy at a breakfast meeting called To Think About Giving, a meeting which was repeated about a dozen times, and each time you had tears in your eyes as you tried to express what that meant for Christ and what it meant to you. The Lincoln Diocese has many issues to grapple with, and Christopher has been clear in leading the diocese about his own view of ministerial priesthood and the nature of the church. During his time as Director of Ministry, the whole Church benefited from the wisdom and experience Christopher brought to that vital role. He asked the important questions and worked to support the bishops and the Church right across the country. It was typical of him that during his time in Church House, he was also a priest vicar of Westminster Abbey, ensuring his own ministerial life was maintained and his involvement with the wider Church. Christopher and Susan will retire to London at the end of this year, and Christopher will continue to be connected to the local church. I'm sure he will also keep connections with the wider church as well, and I hope and pray that we will be able to use his experience and wisdom in the future. During his time as Bishop of Lincoln, the diocese has been working towards what it means to be sustainable. And the vision for the diocese is a time to change together. Christopher has been leading on this vision and, of course, also challenging all in the diocese to consider their own sense of discipleship with 3 words which they use: faithful, confident, and joyful. Christopher has a passion not only for teaching, but also for studying, having gained a master's from Haythrop College in 1996 and the LLM in Cardiff in 2003. He has served on the Clergy Discipline Commission and the Legal Advisory Commission. Christopher and Susan, this Synod wants to say thank you to you and to wish you well in your retirement. It has been more than a difficult few years, and we cannot ignore the reality of what you have endured and the impact it will have had on you and the Church. But at this stage, I want to thank you, to acknowledge your faithful service, to acknowledge your heart turned towards Christ, to acknowledge your discipleship, and to pray that in your continuing pilgrimage and ministry, that God will bless you in all that you do. Thank you.